big of a boost is that, and what's his attitude going into this season?
Yeah, no, it's huge. Obviously, Todd had an unbelievable freshman year for us last year, and going into the combine NBA draft process, we felt like it was an 80-20 situation where we felt like he was going to come back. And to his credit, he goes into the combine and does what we know that he's capable of doing and play on some of the biggest stages in front of the best players and show out. And then it turned to like a 50-50 situation. So we were sweating a little bit because we knew that there was a real chance that Todd could have snuck into the end of that first round, which is ultimately what his dream is, to be a first-round draft pick. And throughout the process, he, his dad, his agent, his whole circle was phenomenal. Just very transparent and honest throughout the whole process, and kind of let us know where they were. And but for him to ultimately make the decision to come back, it's a huge boost for us because we recruited with the anticipation that he would come back. In those last couple weeks, we were kind of scrambling to see if we could find an option in case he didn't. So the fact that Todd, ultimately decided to come back to Auburn, we're thrilled because it changes the dynamic of our team, the trajectory of our team. And we had him last week for practice, and it was great to have him back. It changed everything for us. Practice was just a lot different, having him on the floor. So obviously really excited about him, being back in the Auburn uniform next year.
What brought y'all to Phillip and signing him, and what kind of impact do you think he can make right away, being a very different guy than what y'all usually get?
Yeah, we were looking for another big in the portal, and we as coaches thought we had found some, what we thought were the best ones that were available. And, the more time we spent looking through some of these guys, the more coach was just like, I don't know if this is good enough for what we need. And it kind of, I wouldn't say it fell into my lap, but I'm pretty close with Phillip's agent. He played at Georgia when I was playing at Tennessee. We know each other for a really long time. He's very familiar with how BP's system works, how we play. And he reached out to me actually and said, hey, I got a couple guys that I want you to take a look at. And I saw Phillip and I was like, holy, he's got a chance to be really good. He's only 6'8", but he's really long. He's very bouncy. He's athletic. He's got a little bit of that Tyler Hansbrough to him as far as what you could translate him to in college, but he's played professionally for the past 4 years. So he's played against really good competition against grown men for a couple of years now. So we feel like his abilities would really translate to this level. So we felt like through a couple Zooms and a couple conversations, a couple weeks time, we felt like we made an impression. And obviously when you look at guys like Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith and Janai Broom, Dylan Cardwell, he looked at all those guys and was like, I could do that, and left an impression on him. And ultimately we were able to get him signed, and we're excited to get him on campus.
With the similarly tough non-conference schedule, Neds last year, but this time not having the experience, guys who have experience playing with each other, how do you prepare them? How do you prepare this group in a short amount of time going into that program?
I asked Mike Burgomaster the same question when he was putting the schedule together, and so you could ask him that too. It's going to be a challenge. I talked with Hoke the other day, and he was talking about what our schedule looked like, and I was like, some people think, it's not as tough as last year. I disagree because I feel like the competition is just as good, but we're playing with 10 new guys. So I feel like it's even harder than it was a year ago, just based on what our roster looks like. And then on top of that, you're playing Purdue and Houston, who are probably preseason number 1, number 2. You're going out to the Players Era against 2 top 15, top 20 teams. And then you're going on the road to Arizona, who's probably going to be a preseason top 15, top 20 team. And then NC State's coming in, going to be probably the new and improved team in that league. So we got our hands full, and we'll obviously be really challenged heading into another really, really challenging SEC schedule. So it's going to be daunting, but obviously it'll help us get ready for a league play, and it'll obviously help us get ready for the tournament.
The summer's always valuable. This summer, what's kind of the goal as you get prepared for a season with so many new faces?
Yeah, first off, it's just getting healthy. A lot of guys come into summer still trying to get healthy from a season ago. So we got a couple of guys that are a little banged and bruised up, and we're obviously trying to get them back healthy. And we feel like in a couple of weeks we'll be at 100% with everyone, which would be great. Two, with so many new guys, there's a lot to learn and a lot to teach, and we didn't have Todd for those first 3 weeks to kind of help some of those guys come along, and so everything was kind of brand new as far as what we do, offensively, defensively. So it's just really just doing the basics. These first couple weeks, just trying to get guys up to speed. Tahad being in practice last week really helped because it had someone out there that knew what he was doing on both ends of the floor, and obviously helped speed things along. But those are the two main things. Obviously getting healthy, but then obviously getting everyone up to speed on what we do. And the first couple weeks it was tough because we didn't do a lot of playing. There was a ton of teaching, a lot of drill work, a lot of stuff that not the stuff that guys don't love to do. And then last week we got to play a little 5-on-5, and the guys were obviously really excited to kind of get to that stage, of the summer. And then once we get back from this week, obviously we'll continue to build and play more as the summer ends up.
Stephen, when you've got 10 newcomers, how important is it to have power forward guys like Keyshawn Hall, Keyshawn Murphy, Kevin Overton, guys like that coming into your program?
Yeah, it's really important because they've obviously played at really high levels. You have a couple guys that have played in the Big 12. You got Keyshawn who's played in the SEC, so he understands what we're going against night in, night out. I would say last year the Big 12 and the SEC were two best conferences, and the Big 12 has been historically one of the best basketball conferences in the country. So to be able to get that Power 4 experience with those guys is obviously really important. To be able to bring along the freshmen, the junior college guys, the Division II guys that are now coming into our program. So having some guys with some experience at the highest level obviously helps us moving forward, and it gives them a level of experience, a level of toughness to be able to handle what we're going in, night out.
As the DC, as the defense coordinator, how tough is it, or what are the challenges of trying to install a defense, teach these guys? Because in years past, y'all have been able to just say, hey, you guys know how to do this, you have the experience. When it's just Tahad coming back, how tough is that to try to build it and build it up?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but I feel like, we did a pretty good job of piecing together some guys that have some, are defensive minded. Kevin Overton, great example, a guy that was a really good defender at Texas Tech. Keyshawn Murphy, really good defender. Obviously at Mississippi State. Keyshawn Hall is more of an offensive player, but he's a guy that wants to become really good defensively. Elijah Freeman, a guy that defensively did it on both sides of the floor. So it's a group that is picked up on things quickly so far, but obviously we're going to get way more advanced as we go. It's a group that wants to learn, that wants to get better. So we've had a lot of guys that have come in and watched film. Sebastian Williams-Adams, when you see him in person, he looks like a football player. Yeah. So he's going to be a guy that we'll be able to plug out there, and he'll fit, physically, mentally, he understands the game. Simon is a guy that was really good defensively in high school. And then, Caden Magwood, another guy that, he's really quick and athletic and can obviously get to his spot. So a lot of challenges on both ends of the floor, but I feel like this is a team that, BP will enjoy more because he'll be able to press a little bit more with this group. And that's not something that we've been able to do historically, because the last couple of years we've been a little bit bigger and slower, so we haven't been able to get up and press up into people and create some offense from our defense. So it's a group that, we'll make a few more mistakes, but I think we'll cause some more turnovers, and we'll get the pace going up and down, and I think it could be beneficial.
Quick one, Jason.
Stephen, we talked to Butch about being adaptable with the house settlement and how things are changing. How have you guys approached this as a staff?
Yeah, I mean, our whole thing is you have to adapt to what the current rules are and what that looks like. For us, we were super fortunate that going into this year, there was recognition that we were going to lose a lot of people, and we had to get the resources to be able to compete. And John Cohen and Jared Binko and Brett Whiteside all had a plan going into the season, understanding that we were going to have to obviously up our game and not be in the bottom half of our league as far as our resources go, to be able to put together a team that we felt could compete. And they did that for us, and it allowed us to go out into the portal this year. And obviously we could pitch the basketball, but the basketball is one thing, and obviously we had to financially be able to take care of these guys on the other end as well. And we had the opportunity to do that this year, and that allowed us to build the team that you see that we're going to be able to put out there this year. So biggest thing for us, you can't get complacent. You have to obviously adjust with what they're putting out in front of you, and just find ways to work in the rules and find ways to be successful. And we're fortunate that we have a team around us that's supporting us to do that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Steve.